What's up, y'all? It's Duke Sparrow, and right now, as I'm recording, I'm more than happy to announce that El Paso Elsewhere 2 is coming, and man, oh man, is the hype train rolling big time for me. See, I'm very hyped for the Resident Evil Code Veronica remake, which for some reason is just called Resident Evil Veronica, because for reasons. But that's besides the point. I'm very excited for that, but I'm also hyped for today's subject, which again is El Paso Elsewhere 2, which is a sequel to the original game that came out back in 2023, which, in my opinion, was a really great year, especially for horror fans, given we had both Resident Evil 4 and Dead Space receive their own individual remakes. And while I was having such a great time enjoying those two games, I caught wind of El Paso Elsewhere when I was scrolling YouTube, which I normally do whenever I want to discover a new band or new games that come out. And upon stumbling upon El Paso Elsewhere, I came to learn that it was a Max Payne clone. But basically, it was a Max Payne game, but with vampires. So I said to myself, you know what? This sounds awesome. It sounds like it might be right up my alley. I bought it, and man, I was such a massive fan of the game that when they announced a sequel was being put into production sometime last year, I was so on board and couldn't wait to see more. See, it took a while for them to release any updates, but the update we did get on the sequel was a teaser for El Paso Elsewhere 2, which establishes that James Savage, the main character from the original game, would be returning, and he would be taking on enemies that fire guns, something I think is a massive nod to Max Payne, given how, aside from the teleporting bride and floating angel enemies, there wasn't any other projectile-based enemies, unless you count the puppeteers, which I personally don't. Anyway, the teaser implies that it's been 15 months since the events of El Paso Elsewhere 1, and James reveals he's a vampire, which establishes the ending where he drinks Dracula's soul blood to be canon. You know, I'm very curious on how they'll implement the vampire abilities into the sequel, but I suppose all in good time. You know, watching the teaser, we got ourselves a few new weapons, such as a semi-auto shotgun, Desert Eagle, and if I saw correctly, an M16. I mean, they do establish that the dual pistols and the shotgun will be returning, so that's pretty good to see. Enemies from the original game are established to be returning with the mummified vampires, werewolves, haunted knights, and the angels, which would mean we will be returning to the Void a second time. I do hope the sequel turns out great, I really do, because El Paso Elsewhere to me, it felt like a really massive love letter to retro gaming. It paid such great homage to the Max Payne series. And hopefully the sequel is great, because I'm definitely going to be there day frickin' one. So yeah, that's it. I wanted to express my thoughts on El Paso Elsewhere too. I'm also going to be making videos on El Paso Elsewhere, such as the Void itself, and a fan theory I had on it regarding the evil within. This is Duke Sparrow, signing off.